Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel Beauty of Language. If you are a class 10 student and are going to appear for the board exam next year, then you have come to the right place where you will get line by line and in-depth explanations of the poem from the ICSE syllabus Treasure Chest. So today I'm going to start the explanation of A Considerable Speck, a very interesting poem, simple but deep values hidden in it. So, if you want to know the explanation of haunted houses, when great trees fall, the glove and the lions, and the power of music, you can watch them on my channel. The videos are out already. For a quick summary, the poetic devices and main themes of the poem, you can watch the shorts on my channel. Also, I'll put the link below to the long form videos. And if you want the notes for these poems, then you can visit beautyoflanguage.in. You will get there everything from themes, poetic devices, short summary to line by line explanation. Now, without much further delay, let's get started. First thing first about the poet. So, Robert Lee Frost. Okay, he was an American poet who was known for his authentic portrayal of rural existence and his mastery of American colloquial speech. Now, he was one of the foremost poets of the 20th century. His major works are Road Not Taken, A Boy's Will, North of Boston, New Hampshire, and many other works. Okay, and he's best known for his evocative poetry, which captures the essence of nature, human experience, and the intricacies of rural life. Talking about the poem, so the poem is basically the observation of a tiny insect called the mite. So while the poet was writing something on a piece of paper, when he sees the insect, so in the beginning he thought that it was just a speck, but then when the mite starts moving in an attempt to save itself, then he realizes that it is a living insect. So the poet follows the movement of the mite and then he realizes that it is also a living being who has a mind of its own. And finally, he decides to not to kill it, which is his way of respecting life. So Frost here in this poem, he has used the metaphor of the mite to show the insignificance of the human. So just as the mite is for him a tiny small speck, in the same way we humans are for the universe. Okay, so we are also known as a speck in the this universe. So he tries to convey through this poem that we need to be humble, we need to have humility. Let's start the explanation now. The first few lines. A speck that would have been beneath my sight or any but a paper sheet so white. The poet, he starts by telling that he would have missed the speck. Speck means small dot, okay? But since that speck, the spot, it was in contrast to the color of the sheet of the paper, so he saw it. Now, if it would have been of the same color as the paper, then he would have never seen it. He may not have been able to notice it. So it would have been perfectly camouflaged. But the speck must have been black in color and the sheet was white. So two things to be noted here. First, through these lines, the poet shows that even the smallest thing can be significant if they are seen from a particular point of view. Second, how even the smallest, the tiniest of things can be a reason for distraction. Okay. Next, set off across what I had written there, and I had idly poised my pen in air to stop it with a period of ink. So what happens that after a moment, the speck, it starts moving. Okay, it begins to move on the paper. Set off means basically means to leave, but here it means to move. So the thing which he thought was just a spot starts to move over the things that he had written in the paper. Okay, and I had idly poised my pen in the air means that the poet had idly, that is lazily, he had held his pen in the air He had lifted his pen in his hand and was almost ready to stop that speck with a drop of ink. Next, well, something strange about it made me think this was no dust by my breathing blown, but unmistakably a living mind with inclinations it could call its own. So from here, that means these lines show the change in the perception of the poet towards that speck. So while all these things were happening, something strange happened with the speck that made him start thinking. Now, what that strange thing happened? So he saw that it was not a speck that would be blown away by his breath. And further, he concludes that it was definitely a living insect, a living creature. Now, a living insect that has its own inclinations. So, inclinations here means that he has its own mind, its own choice, its own preferences. Okay. Now, this particular realization that he has a brain of his own, it is not just some dumb insect. His interaction with it starts getting even more interesting. So, let's see what next happens. It paused as with suspicion of my pen and then came racing wildly on again to where my manuscript was not yet dry. So here the poet unfolds what happened next with the insect. So he says that the mite it paused because he thought that the pen might be some kind of weapon. Okay, so for that small insect, that pen must be huge thing for him. Okay, so he thought that it must be a kind of weapon, and in order to escape from it, the insect then started moving wildly to the place where his manuscript, so whatever he was writing, it was still not dry. Okay, so here it is personification used in these lines because telling that the mind paused as if it were a human and then racing wildly, this shows that it was scared and was moving rapidly. So, since the mind sees the pen as a weapon, so it tries to run away from it to that part of the paper which was still not dry. This particular observation of the mind by the poet shows that it has very strong survival instinct. Okay, that is why he starts running to protect itself. Next, then paused again and either drank or smelt with loathing, for again it turned to fly. Now that insect, that mite, it paused again. Okay. And the poet is not sure whether it drank or smelled the ink. Okay. But with loathing, loathing means an aversion towards something. Okay. A strong expression for hate. So it must have not liked the smell or taste of it. That is the reason why it tried to fly again. So this once again shows the survival instinct of the insect. Okay, so the poet was in awe with these actions of the speck, which shows how much he wanted to live. So, next, plainly with an intelligence I dealt. It seemed too tiny to have room for feet, yet must have had a set of them complete to express how much it didn't want to die. Now, the poet, he's saying that he's dealing with intelligence. Okay, he's acknowledging the intelligence of the mind. He's no longer talking about just any creature but a creature with intelligence. Okay, so seeing the moves of the insect to survive, that is, it is not just any imbecile or dumb creature but very calculative and intelligent mind. So this shows how his perception in the beginning, that was to see if it was any speck, changed to a considerable speck, which is the title of the poem. And that is why it is the title. This is the title of the poem. Okay. So then he says it seemed too tiny to have room for feet. So the poet is now pointing out his physical features. That the insect was already so tiny, and now he's surprised to see that he has legs also, and had also a complete set of legs. So these legs are to express his strong will to survive. Now it was because of these legs that it was able to move over the manuscript where it was still not dry. So now he has a different level of respect for the insect, and also it shows that all creatures on this earth, no matter how small they are, have the right to live. Okay, moving on to the next lines. It ran with terror and with cunning crept. It faltered, I could see it hesitate. Then, in the middle of the open sheet, cowered down in desperation to accept whatever I accorded it to fate. So, now the insect, it ran with terror, okay? So, the poet is closely observing the insect and saw that it was now afraid and it started running. And with running crept, it means that it started moving strategically. But what happened is that it faltered. Faltered means it couldn't move steadily. It no longer was in a able. It was he was no longer able to maintain its stamina. Okay, maintain its posture of running. Now the insect lost its confidence. After all, it was a tiny insect. How long it could have run? Okay, and the poet saw it hesitating. So it was kind of uncertain that where it wanted to go. Okay, and then in the middle of the open sheet, what happened? The mite, it cowered down. Cowered means to crouch in fear. Okay, so here in the middle of the sheet, it shows that the insect was now exposed. It was out in the open. That is why it has been specifically mentioned the middle of the sheet. Okay, and it was more vulnerable to being attacked by the poet. Now, it was in the form of submission, which means that it gave up, and in desperation, okay, desperation to run to save its life, it accepted the fate that the poet had in his hands. Okay, desperation, it shows that the insect has no more options left, and that is why he accepted his fate कि भाई अब जो करना है कर लो भाई मैंने तो हार मान ली. Okay, so this line, whatever I accorded it to fate, this puts the power entirely in the hands of the poet, because he has the final decision to make on what to do with the insect, whether to kill it or to let it live. Okay, so this decision making power now lies with the poet. It has completely surrendered itself to him, and now it creates a sense of mystery, okay, sense of suspense, that what would the poet do to the mite. Okay, next. I have none of the tenderer than thou collectivistic regimenting love with which the modern world is being swept. So here the poet says that he has none of the tenderer than thou. Tenderer than thou means someone who believes they are more sensitive, okay, more compassionate or more caring than others. Pay attention that someone who believes, not someone who is actually, someone who believes that yes, I am very caring, I'm very sensitive, very compassionate. Okay, so this, it suggests a kind of moral superiority, okay, based on perceived emotional depth or empathy. Okay, students, please pay attention to these words. You can use them in your answers, okay, to elevate your answers to a good quality. Okay, so the poet says that he's not such a kind of person with over sentimental love, expressing some feeling in sugar coated words, because this quality of tenderer than thou is considered rather pretentious. Okay, it is rather fake. Collectivistic regimenting love, it denotes the love that prioritizes collective good rather than individual love. So we can say communism, okay? But the poet, he criticizes it. The poet says that he is neither type of person. He is neither the over sentimental type of person nor the one who regulates his personal choices based on what others think, with which the modern world is being swept. It means that the modern world is driven by these two ideologies. One is tenderer than thou, and the other is collectivistic regimenting love, which means that thinking according to what other think, okay, and making decisions on the basis of others thinking. Okay, you can say a kind of herd mentality, right? Herd mentality, you know that जो एक कर रहे हैं वो सभी को करना है. Okay, so that is herd mentality. But this poet, he says that he is completely different from these kinds of people. He is neither over pretentious nor the one who thinks according to the community. He has a thought process of his own. Okay, he has his own genuine individual feeling. So this also shows the type of trend at that time where love and feelings were driven according to the society. It was driven according to the community, not by the person's personal feeling. Okay, moving on to the next lines. But this poor microscopic item now, since it was nothing I knew evil of, I let it lie there till I hope it slept. Now, getting back to our insect, he calls it here poor microscopic item. So it shows his sense of empathy, okay, or sympathy for the tiny insect. Microscopic means very tiny. Now, as we know, the poet has a feeling, he has developed a feeling of respect towards this mite, and also it has done nothing wrong to him. So he let it lie there itself and he hoped that it probably slept. Okay. So the mystery of whether he will kill the mite or leave it finally unfolds here. The poet shows the mercy towards it and decides not to kill it. Moving on to the next lines. I have a mind myself and I recognize mind when I meet with it in any guise. No one can know how glad I am to find on any sheet the least display of mind. So I have a mind of myself. It means that the poet says that he has a mind of his own, okay? And he recognizes other mind, that is the mind of the insect who tried to escape from him very strategically, okay? Because he has a survival instinct. So he acknowledges the fact that he has a mind and also he has the capability to recognize other mind. Whose other mind is here? It is the insect's mind. Okay. So he met him without any disguise, which means that the poet met the insect without any cover, without any hypocrisy. Okay. So, or you can say that he met it and recognized that he has a brain of its own, irrespective of its size. Okay, we have already discussed that the poet already said us that it was of a microscopic size, but still it has a brain of its own. Now, he found the insect creative and strategic, which led him to earn his respect. No one can know how glad I am to find. So he says that no one can imagine how glad he is, how happy he is, how satisfied and contented he is to find this display of mine. On any sheet, the least display of mine means that this display of mind can be on any sheet, not only this sheet of paper where he was writing. It can be in the art, the drawing, the sketches, the books, anywhere. Okay. The least display of mind means the display of intelligence, okay, found in the most basic and even the tiniest of creatures. So here in this case, it is the insect. So basically, the poet values and he respects intelligence and he feels very contented, okay, very satisfied in its discovery that yes, I discovered a genius mind. So I hope you understood the poem well because it is not that complicated. Okay, for main themes, poetic devices and short summary of the poem, watch the shorts which I have already uploaded, like the video if you found it good and subscribe the channel for more updates and also share it among your friends. See you in my next video with the explanation of another poem. Till then, bye bye, take care.